So, what do you think is the single biggest mistake that stops a small business from ever being sold? It's not the product, it's not the location, it's not even the competition. It's actually a secret, one that's hidden in the books. It's a shortcut that can turn a whole lifetime of hard work into a completely unsellable asset. Today, we're going to break down exactly what that critical error is.
All right, let's just dive right into a real-world story. This comes from a business broker who had a meeting set up with a seller. Now, this seller had already canceled once, but he finally shows up, financials in hand. But from the very moment he put those papers down on the table, it was obvious that something was seriously wrong.
So get this, the seller hands over two documents, his profit and loss statement and his official tax return, but they told two completely different stories. His P&L, it claimed he made a really healthy $150,000 in profit. But the document he actually filed with the government, that showed a profit of only $35,000. This is basically the biggest red flag you could possibly wave in a business deal.
What we're talking about here is the classic two sets of books. And let's be super clear about this. This is not some creative accounting trick or a simple mistake. No, this is a deliberate, illegal practice. You're creating one reality for yourself and a totally different, false one for the tax authorities.
So what's that big number? Well, that's the difference between his two profit numbers. The seller had $120,000 in cash that he just didn't report. He was hiding it, thinking, he was being smart and saving money on taxes.
So here's the really crucial point. This supposedly smart move to save a little on taxes, it actually had a catastrophic cost. Let's really unpack why hiding cash is probably one of the most self-destructive things a business owner can possibly do.
First and foremost, we just have to state the obvious here. What this seller was doing, it wasn't some clever little trick. It's a go-to-jail level felony. Intentionally hiding revenue from the federal government is a really serious crime.
And that one lie, it just sets off this devastating chain reaction. Think about it. Once a buyer sees you're lying to the government, why in the world would they ever trust you? They won't. And no bank is going to finance the purchase of a business that has fraudulent records. And maybe most importantly, you have absolutely zero credible proof of that $150,000 profit you say you're making. The entire due diligence process, it just completely falls apart. This one seller's story, it actually points to a much bigger and kind of shocking trend. So let me ask you this. Why do you think most small businesses that get listed for sale just fail to find a buyer? The number is a staggering 80%. That's right, 4 out of every 5 businesses that go on the market never actually end up selling. They just sort of fade away. So what's the number one reason for this massive failure rate?
Well, according to that same broker, it all comes down to one thing, and he repeats it for emphasis. It's not the market, it's not the price, it's the books and records. Because when you can't prove your profit, you can't justify your price. And your business, well, it simply will not sell.
So, how in the world do sellers justify this kind of behavior to themselves? Well, let's take a look at the dangerous myth they tell themselves to get comfortable with this whole thing.
So when the broker confronted the seller about the two sets of books, you know what his defense was? This. Everybody does it. It's the classic justification for cutting corners, right? The idea that it's just a normal, accepted part of doing business. But is it really?
On one hand, you have the myth. The seller thinks he's being clever, saving a few bucks on taxes. But the reality is, a potential buyer just sees a liar. The seller believes it's some harmless, common thing. But trust is the absolute currency of a business sale. The second that trust is gone, the deal is dead on arrival. Period.
All right, so we've spent a lot of time on how not to do it, but here's the good news. This is a completely fixable problem. It just takes a little time and commitment. So let's talk about the right way to build a business that has real, provable, and, most importantly, sellable value.
The broker's advice is really straightforward. You need a runway. To sell your business for what it's truly worth, you need at least 3 straight years of clean, accurate, and provable financial records. And it starts today. You stop the bad habits right now. Then you build that track record year by year that proves your value beyond any shadow of a doubt. So what are the actual steps? Okay, number 1, report every single dollar. This is just non-negotiable. 2, if your current accountant is letting you do this, fire them. Hire a real professional who finds legal ways to lower your tax bill. 3, actually explore those legal strategies. Things like 401ks and pension plans aren't just for big corporations. And finally, number 4, start thinking like a buyer. Always keep your records pristine, as if you might have to sell the whole thing tomorrow.
And that really brings us to the final, crucial question you have to ask yourself. Because when your books are a mess, you haven't actually built an asset that someone else can buy. What you've really built is a job for yourself, and it's a job that you can never truly leave or cash out of. The choice of which one you're building, well, that starts today.